All right, everyone. So we have some news and announcements for Raid Shadow Legends, and let's go ahead and start off with the big one. And this actually just happened. In fact, it's even still happening right now. So let's head over to the tournament screen for this one here, because you'll notice that in the tournament screen, we actually have some new tournaments coming up. These ones in the middle, but of course, the big thing about these is the background. You can see the Polarium balloon as well as the 1s or the 11. And we have this Champion Chase tournament that popped up a little over an hour ago, which is going to be starting tonight. And just 9 minutes ago, at the time of me recording, this Champion Training tournament popped up here as well. So we've got this Champion Chase and this Champion Training with, of course, that very unique background that we have not seen before. So, of course, what does this mean? Well, just based off of the image alone, this is looking like the 1-year anniversary event for Raid Shadow Legends. And, we've had things before, like certain celebrations. I know in a lot of other gacha type games similar to Raid, this is a really, really big deal. Like, they really go all out when it comes to, 1-year anniversaries, 100-day celebrations, just all these milestones. Like when the game gets a certain number of downloads, they'd have all these big celebrations. Not quite sure if Polarium and Raid Shadow Legends is going to go down that path, but we've had kind of similar stuff that doesn't really function exactly like a regular Champion Training event or a Champion Chase tournament would normally work. And just so I can show you guys as an example here, we've actually had this New Year's Champion Training event, but the big thing that stood out about this one is you can see the points total was 3,600, but you actually ended up getting rewards every 150 points, and that was the cap for the number of points that you could end up getting each day. So you got a lot of rewards every 150 points with a cap of 150 points each day. Getting 150 points in Champion Training is not really too difficult, so it was pretty easily attainable by a lot of people, and essentially it was just additional daily rewards from this type of Champion Training event that they had. And I know the New Year's one was 150 points per reward, but there was, I think, another one, the Easter one, that they introduced since then, which was similar, but I want to say that one, it was quite strictly just 1 point per reward. So, the maximum number of points for it was like 15, and you could get 1 point per day, and then of course each reward was spread apart just 1 point away from each other, so it was essentially like that same system. So obviously not the same type of Champion Training event that we normally see. Now, I'm kind of hoping that's the case with the the events that we have popping up, but these are tournaments. Before they were under the events page, so my skepticism is a little bit higher. But still kind of hoping that is, what they make out of this. Or at the least, the Champion Chase tournament and the Champion Training tournaments are easier than what they normally would be if they didn't have this crazy background here. So, the rewards, honestly, lately from tournaments, events, they seem to have been at least a step below what they normally are. I don't know if that has to do with the fusion or if there are other reasons, but, I'm really hoping the positive side is hoping that the rewards have been lackluster, because we're looking at some pretty big stuff from, whatever this is. And I'm sure we'll have more detailed announcements about it in the coming day or so, and we'll be able to find out more information later tonight when we can actually open up those windows right there. So that's the big news, and I'm looking forward to kind of seeing how that develops. But there's other stuff going on as well. We actually have a 10-time summon event coming up. And I know that after all the 10-time summon events, everyone definitely has, their opinions about how many of these that we've had lately. But this one is going to be specifically for just one champion, one legendary champion, and that is Prince Kaimar, who will have 10 times the chances from Ancient or Sacred Shards. Now, there's some really important things to note about this. Obviously, we've had a ton of 10 times events. A lot of the ones lately have been groups of champions, like a part of certain factions. This one is just one champion. But getting into the actual details here, if we take a look at Prince Kaimar himself, part of the Demon Lords, he is a pretty good champion. I'm not gonna lie, he's not bad or anything like that. He's got a very solid skill kit. His skill 1 here without the cooldown is an AoE that also places a poison debuff if it's critical, and of course you can end up building him to where you're always going to be getting that critical, so essentially it's like just an AoE poison. Then you got another AoE that removes all buffs and also places a sleep debuff, and you can get this down to a 3-turn cooldown. And his third ability here is absolutely crazy. Seal of Magic resets the cooldown of all ally skills, fills the turn meter of all allies except this champion by 20%. That is a very powerful skill right there. You can get that down to a 6-turn cooldown as well. And on top of that, his aura here, you've got that 30% speed aura in the arena, which is huge, which is why this guy is at the top of tons of tier lists for arena champions. You know, he's got a very, very unique skill kit. This ability here is crazy, and overall, he's definitely not a bad champion. He's definitely a good champion, but the real question is it really going to be worth summoning specifically for him with this 10 times event where he's the only featured champion? And the answer is pretty much the same answer that I always give. I would honestly even lean a little bit more towards no for this one than some of the previous 10 times events, just because he is the only champion featured, and this is a champion that is not from Void Shards. So you're competing with all the other legendaries, you know, a part of the regular affinities here, and there are a lot of them. So without actually having that increased chance to get legendary champions, you're still going to be looking at that 0.5% here. 8% for epics, you know, it's brutal. And if you want to pull a couple of shards to see if you're the chosen one, that's totally fine. Maybe you'll get super lucky and be surprised if you can actually pull him, but you are looking at, you know, 100+ sacred shards, probably many hundreds, if not 1,000+ ancient shards on average in order to get him, even with this event going on. So, you know, it's important to know the odds, even though averages don't really mean that much if you're lucky or unlucky. It's still important to kind of have that understanding in mind of like what you're realistically looking at if you do decide to pull. So, you know, if you're a whale though, and you have most legendaries and he's one of the very few legendaries that you do not have, that's obviously a different story. I'm not going to tell the whales how to spend their money anyway, but you know, if you're free to play or a light spender, much better to still hold on to your shards for a double rates event. But I understand that with the lack of double rates events that we've had lately, you know, it's frustrating. I think a lot of people are starting to get their temptations to pull more shards, but you know, I'd still hold off. A big exception though, really importantly to note, I don't know if I've stressed this enough, if you are a new player, like very new to the game, and you still do not have a very well developed roster, you do not have that many champions, then it's okay to pull some ancient shards just to develop your roster a little bit, even if it's just the rares that you get from the ancient shards. Now, don't pull all of your shards, don't go crazy, but this is really to try to get, you know, some champions to work with. Most people have been playing for a decent amount of time. You know, it's still, you don't want to go too crazy outside of those double rate events. So there's been a lot of them, though, compared to the ×2. I think it's been around 2 months now. We are due for an ancient or a sacred. The last one we had was Void, so they've never done 2 in a row before, but they have, you know, it's not like they always go in order, so they could easily go back to sacreds, even though ancients is the one that we technically should get next. But hoping it's soon, and I'm really hoping, you know how crazy it would be is with all this, you know, anniversary stuff in the background here, if they also announced a double rates event for shards while also running 10 times rates for Prince Kaimar. Now, we've never seen something like that before, but that would be absolutely insane. That would be crazy. You know, obviously my expectations are low. I don't think it's going to happen. And I, you know, it sucks that we have this 10 times for Prince Kaimar with these anniversary banners in the background, because that, you know, it kind of seems even less likely that they would do something like that. But hey, you know what? It's always possible. It's always nice to have hope and dream. You know, maybe we'll see some fun stuff that Player has not done before. So that's everything related to that. And the last little update here, piece of news that I wanted to share with you guys, is related to patch 2.0, formerly known as patch 1.6. Yes, they did end up renaming the actual patch itself. And we have a little bit of an update as to the status of 3v3 Arena here. They were actually running tests, or they were going to start running tests where people actually applied to get into these tests. But it seems like testing has actually been postponed for 1 week. Possibly that this has to do with the anniversary stuff that we're seeing right now. I didn't get any further information besides the actual image and screenshot that you guys see right now. But testing looks like it's going to start in about a week now, June 8th. It'll take 2 days. And then it's going to take some time to review all the bugs and feedback to launch 2.0 without any issues and glitches. I assume 2.0 will be launched in mid-June. So you know, that's really on the bright side. That's really optimistic at this point. I think we are looking at this point a minimum of 2 weeks away. I would say it might not be the very end of June, but I would be very surprised if it was any time like 2 weeks from now. You know, that's the 17th, 18th, sometime before that period. Could happen, but you know, it's probably going to be like, more likely it's going to be the week after that. So between the 22nd through the 26th, sometime in that period. But that's not confirmed or anything like that. This is the actual official info that you guys see on the screen. But that is pretty much all the stuff that I have to share with you guys. I haven't done a news updates video in a while. Things have definitely been a little bit slow, so I kind of wanted to save everything in one burst for this video here, and I hope that you guys enjoyed. So if you did and you want more videos like this in the future, consider subscribing to the channel. Really appreciate all the support. Feel free to leave a quick like as well. It means more than you can imagine. And more Raid Shadow Legends videos, guides, tutorials, all that fun stuff should be popping up on the screen right about now. Feel free to check them out. But if not, until next time, take care, everyone. This is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.